Do you know the fun significance of March 14th every year? Yep, it's Pi Day. 3/14, March 14th, 3.14159265359. What a great day to extol the virtues of cherry and peach while looking down upon those who would suggest rhubarb or key lime, and then trying to sneak a piece of all of them. I will admit to being a pie opportunist. What about May 4th? I can see some smiles in this room. May the 4th, Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. This one's a little bit harder. Do you know the significance of September 13th? It is the 256th day of the year, the number of possible values in a byte, making this Programmer's Day. Thank your family tech person for making the technological world work, for introducing us to AI, and for the tech support they provide you when you have a silly question. And my favorite of all of them, July 1st. Are there any sports fans in this room not watching the Steelers game that recognize this date? July 1st is colloquially known as Bobby Bonilla Day. Yes, the very same Bobby Bonilla who played third base terribly and then right field for the Pirates from 1987 to 1991, making the All-Star team as a right fielder 4 years in a row. He left for the Mets in 1992 on what was then Major League Baseball's biggest contract. But it didn't work out so well for the Mets. Diminishing offensive performance, a couple of trades, and eventually the Mets agreed to buy out the remaining $5.9 million of his contract rather than let him take the field in a Mets uniform ever again. Nothing remarkable about this per se. It happens all the time in the sports world. But not everyone is represented by Dennis Gilbert, a good Jewish boy from Los Angeles. Bonilla's agent, Gilbert, offered the Mets an intriguing proposition. Instead of paying Bonilla that contractually obligated $5.9 million in 1999, Gilbert said, why don't you just let that money grow for a little while? You're making great money with Bernie Madoff. Not such a great Jewish boy from New York. You can just pay my client later, he said. And the Mets agreed. And the New York Mets are now on the hook to pay Bobby Bonilla $1.2 million every July 1st until he is 72 years old. It's an amazing deal for Bonilla. And his agent, Dennis Gilbert, explained his genius as follows. You know, I have a lot of friends who are coming out of the game of baseball, and they were running out of money. I was trying to think of what I could do and think of something and some way to go about it, and this is what I came up with. Bonilla, like many in professional athletics, had a great agent, someone looking out for his future, and it paid off, literally, until 34 years after Bonilla will have last touched a Major League Baseball. A recent billboard campaign by the organization Pass It On, a nonpartisan, religious nonprofit that, quote, publicizes values they hope most individuals would find relevant in an effort to encourage people to bring out the best in themselves, pointed out that it's not only sports stars that need agents to act on their behalf, to take an active role to produce a better future. Even Mother Nature has an agent, their billboard proclaims, and necessarily so. Dr. Jane Goodall became the world's foremost expert on chimpanzees and conservation and animal welfare, along the way teaching us important lessons about ourselves as much as the world in which we live. Chimpanzees, gorillas, and orangutans have been living for hundreds of thousands of years in the forest, she said, living fantastic lives, never overpopulating, never destroying the forest. I would say that they have been, in a way, more successful than us as far as being in harmony with the environment. Dr. Goodall has received copious recognition for her role as Mother Nature's agent. United Nations Messenger of Peace, the Stephen Hawking Medal for Science Communication, numerous national awards, and she has inspired countless members of subsequent generations with the tenacity of her hope. Let's add April 22nd, Earth Day, to the list of days we're recognizing this evening. What I love about Pasadon's billboard campaign is that it simultaneously applauds the good that Goodall has done in this world while inspiring each of us to think about our role. Dennis Gilbert served as Bobby Bonilla's agent and did a phenomenal job. Jane Goodall serves as Mother Nature's agent and does amazing work. Calling attention to their efforts isn't to inspire you to go out and get an agent, though props to you if you are so successful as to need one, but to yourself, be an agent. For I think this is the hidden message of Yom Kippur. Hidden because our personal preparations and thoughts on this day are often inwardly focused. Kol nidre, we say, please nullify and forgive the vows I am unable to keep. We ask forgiveness from those we have wronged. We search inside ourselves for the strength to grant our own forgiveness if we're in a position to do so as personal self-improvement. It's easy on Yom Kippur to think that we should be narrowly focused on ourselves, on what we've done wrong and how we can fix it, because in large part we need to be. And it's also important that we don't forget the forest for the me tree. Our entire liturgy tonight and tomorrow is actually about our responsibility within a collective. When we recited our confessional prayers, Al Chet Shechatanu, we said not that I have missed the mark, but that we have missed the mark. As Rabbi David Teutsch writes, this list is an emphatic statement of behaviors that the community considers unacceptable, proclaiming its expectation to all of its members, each of us, which we all have an obligation to uphold. Though I may not have done all of these things wrong in the past year, and hopefully no one did all of those things wrong in the past year, but I suppose if you did, you're in the right place. We live in a society where, unfortunately, people have, and we all share in the collective responsibility. When we take ownership of our shortcomings, we ask uteshuva utefila utzdacha me'avirin et roa hagazera through repentance, prayer, and tzedakah. May we transcend the path we are on. Repentance and prayer, okay, those are focused on me as an individual. But tzedakah, that's about my responsibility within the collective. And the Torah portion that we'll read tomorrow, that Dr. Ben Handon will read tomorrow, enumerates what the Israelites, what we must do to be as holy as God is holy. Leave the corners of your fields and the gleanings for those disadvantaged by society. Don't steal or deceive or lie to your fellow human beings. Don't judge others with prejudice. Each of these commandments speaks of our responsibility to others. In our confessions, in our prayers, in our learning on our most sacred day of the year, we aren't asking God to serve as our agents, to act on behalf of me. We're reminding ourselves that we must be the agents, acting on behalf of others to be worthy of God's attention. We don't pray to retain agents like Dennis Gilbert or Jane Goodall. We ask that we can be agents like Dennis Gilbert and Jane Goodall, acting for the interest of others. And it begs a very specific question. For whom will you serve as an agent in the year 5784? Who needs your help, and who are you best suited to serve? Are you following in Dr. Goodall's footsteps, concerned about the environment in which we live? Are you concerned about food insecurity or housing insecurity or economic justice in the South Hills or Allegheny County or the United States or around the world? Have life circumstances led you to prioritize detection, research, and treatment of a specific disease, cancer, or condition? Do you volunteer with and advocate for youth as a tutor and a mentor? Is caring for animals and the prevention of cruelty toward them something that gets you out of bed in the morning? Are you the primary caregiver for a loved one, always acting in their best interest despite the personal toll that labor of love can take? Are you a supporter of the arts and the development of culture? Are you primarily concerned with supporting refugees and immigrants to this country as they learn English? Are you troubled by gun violence and ready to take a stand? The list could go on all night long, and there is exactly one wrong answer. Before rabbinical school, I had the pleasure of advising a Jewish youth group and teaching in a Sunday school and a Hebrew school in Columbus, Ohio. When my class of second graders was polled about where to donate their collected tzedakah, their righteousness expressed in this case through giving, the Humane Society and organizations assisting animals didn't only make the top of the list, they were the only organizations on that list. Like the mitzvah mall here at Temple, nobody could resist Lainey and the cute, cuddly pool of animals. As I was kvetching to a colleague about this generation's priorities and their lack of sympathy for humanity, she laughed at my hubris, and she pointed out how fortunate we are to live in a world where everyone can serve as an agent for those they know to be in need according to their positions and to their passion. I have my priorities, she said, and you have yours, and the needs in our community are too great to judge what anyone else chooses to do. The only answer that doesn't work, I believe Yom Kippur tells us, is not to have and then act upon an answer to this question. For whom will you serve as an agent in 5784? While the benefits of acting as an agent for others you care about, looking out for their interests and working thoughtfully and strategically for their future may have been just a little bit more tangible for Dennis Gilbert, they're a bit more durable for us. Acting in the interest of others gives purpose and meaning to our lives while improving our physical and mental health. Serving as another person's agent has been shown to increase our happiness more than additional dollars in our pockets. It changes our relationship with our community. It changes our spending habits and our priorities. It changes our actions in the voting booth and so much more. It even, as Yom Kippur tells us, is the basis for God's upholding God's end of the covenant with the Jewish people. In our confession, in our prayers, in our learning on this most sacred day of the year, we're reminded of the community forest for the me tree. Our responsibility to that collective, our ability and willingness to act on their behalves is what draws us closer to God in this new year. April 22nd, Earth Day. Jane Goodall serves as Mother Nature's agent and does amazing work. July 1st, Bobby Bonilla Day. Dennis Gilbert served as Bobby Bonilla's agent and did amazing work. Calling attention to their efforts isn't to inspire you to go out and get an agent yourself, but to be an agent, acting in the interest of others to save ourselves is the hidden message of Yom Kippur. So, for whom will you serve as an agent in this coming year? There's really only one wrong answer to that question.